Okay, folks, Sailing Prepper here. All right, so this is going to be a shout out to Sophie and Ray. Glad to hear that you plan on going back to your boat. I still want to do my cooking challenge with you, Sophie. And watching your video really did make me feel a lot better because I've been stressed about my boat and a lot of things like that. So thank you. So for Sophie and Ray, that's a shout out for that. Audrey, thank you for always doing your videos. I hope to one day see up close your Formosa, your 51 footer, I believe it is. Two of my biggest inspirations in sailing are those two. If you guys want to watch, look up Sailing Miss Lone Star. She also goes under buying a boat for $1, she'll pop up. Absolutely adore that woman. She started off with next to nothing and made a boat from $1, and now she's got a 51-foot Formosa, which is her newest boat. At least I think it's 51. It might be 50. As far as Ray and Sophie go, again, I hope you do get back to your boat. I hope we all can meet in 2021 when I hope to get out of here. Always have learned a lot from you guys. Hope to learn a lot more. And beyond that, you guys have made me feel a little better watching your videos. With the coronavirus 2020, everybody's been down, and watching you guys have to leave your boat where you had and go all the way to what's the name of the country you're in? Somewhere in Europe. It's on the tip of my tongue. Sorry, guys. So that's my shout out for you guys. Now we'll get to the second part of this. And this is the second part of this. Due to the 2020 election, if you're an American, these are things you might want to think about, which is basically how to get somewhere very fast. Let's say you do have to I hate to say it, but let's say you have to go somewhere in a hurry. This is the prepping part of it, okay? Now, if you have a sailboat already, great. If you can get one, get one. That's my opinion. All right, they're a really good option because we're going to talk about vehicles to get where you're going. Everybody talks about what do you want to bring when you're bugging out, but nobody ever talks about what about the vehicle you want to bring. Do you really want to trek over land into the woods with a backpack and a sleeping bag and maybe a tent? Well, yeah, but that's like end scenario. What if it's just a major disaster? Well, there are multiple options out there, and some are very good. And I'm going to name some of my favorites. One is a sailboat of some type, not a motorboat. A motorboat will work for short term, depending on how far you have to go and if you have enough fuel with you. Not very a big fan of motorboats or motor yachts. Okay? Although they will go a long distance, a motor yacht, if it's a big enough boat. But they're expensive too. Even if you find one for $10, they're expensive to maintain. You're talking about a 90-foot yacht, motor yacht. It can be expensive. Luxury, I'll give you luxury, but it's expensive. The maintaining, just the docking fee on those alone. I would suggest something around, I would suggest no smaller than a 30-footer. 29 would be pushing it, 28, maybe. Audrey did it with, I think it was a 28, 29-footer. 30, yeah, would be around about price that you will find, or size that you will find for a decent price. 30 on up. I have a 33 footer. Most people go for 35, 36, which is pretty good. And then you go up to your 40, and which is really good, and on up. Okay, you get more room, more luxury, and it's more comfortable the larger the boat. However, the larger the boat, you will be paying more for docking and all those other things. So I would suggest not going much above 50. All right, 50 would be probably my limit unless you're a wealthy person. You know, you can own a 60-foot cat or a 60-foot boat and pay for the docking and you could afford it. Great, wonderful. American dollar's crashing. Um, but you know, something reasonable that you could cross the ocean with, like a 33 footer, 35 footer, 36, you know, those are decent boats to cross the ocean with. Um, Depends on how far you want to go. Those are good options for going those distances. Now, let's say you need to go somewhere and you want to fly. There are two main options for the person who's not completely rich, but might have a little bit of money. All right. You have the guy who can pretty much anybody can do this. Okay. Build an ultralight. Experimental. No license needed. It's a quick emergency bug out, let you go long distances if you know how to run it right. All right. I would suggest getting some pilot training if you don't already have that. Now, the next thing you do have to get a pilot's license for. It's called a support pilot's license. This is called a light support aircraft. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. I got to store it in an airport or something like that. No. I'll give you an example. MVP Aero has probably what I would consider the most practical, and even if you just want to go camping, I mean, come on. Let's say you want to go Florida, go camping on a lake somewhere. This is a wonderful tool, okay, in your thing. You can carry a basic little camping bug out gear with you on it. You can have two people, so you could bring someone with you, maybe 3 or 4 max, um, if you really squeeze in. All right. But MVP Aero has a wonderful boat or airplane that's designed to fly a decent distance, like about the distance your car would before you have to refill. Um, they come with different engines, and it's literally something that will turn into a camping tent for you. You can land it on land, you can land it on the water. Any airplane you get, honestly, I suggest you get something that can land both on land and on water. Why? Because, well, depending on where you're going, it opens up your options. Now, this is, like I said, a light support. So you have to get a light support pilot's license. And they run about 3 to 4 grand. I know that's a lot of money for a lot of people, but it'd be a good investment. But depends on how much time you think you have. It's a quick bug out way to get to somewhere really fast. And if you aren't planning on leaving the country and you have family around, that's a quick way, even if you just have the light support, which is illegal for 2 people, but in Armageddon, that doesn't matter. You could put a second seat in some of those, and you can go and grab somebody, a member of your family, go help them out real quick. You know, let's say you have your sister is 3 states away. Skip out the driving. Roads will be jammed, but you take an ultralight, land it. And you land that in a cornfield. If you have a light support, then you don't even have to worry about the laws because you have now a light support pilot's license. You can bring up to probably about 4 people on that, I think is max. And you could go get your sister, her 2 kids, squeeze in her husband if you really want to try. It'd be about 5 altogether, but you'd really be pushing it with that. Somebody'd have to sit on somebody's lap, but in an emergency case like that, it'd be a pretty good idea. That would be with the MVP Aero. Anything else, you're kind of pushing it. There's a couple of others that are similar to that. That's the one I suggest for everybody. But you're going to be paying a little bit for the average person, an arm and a leg, plus your light support pilot's license. Okay, now, minus the air and the sea. Now, this is more practical for the average person who just, well, boats you could do for long term, but then the next thing is a trailer or a RV. Now, I do not suggest RVs, and there are multiple reasons why I do not suggest RVs. If that's your preference, fine, but RVs have something I don't like. Where's your second vehicle? All right, they're great looking, and so are a lot of trailers. And yes, you're only driving one vehicle without the hitch. But what if you want to go to the store, go somewhere temporarily, and you drop off, even camping? Okay, even camping. I hated RVs. Okay, one, I like having that second vehicle that I could just disconnect without having to worry about having a second driver. That's the difference. Okay, that's why I say go for a trailer, a camper trailer, and not a pop-up, but an actual camper trailer, something you can put 4 or 5 people in comfortably. Okay, at least 3 or 4 people. I've seen some that are 3 or 4 people. That's be about the lowest. They generally come with a kitchen and everything a boat would need. Your boat has. Only they're a little more roomy in some ways, but they're also narrower. You tow it behind your truck, and in some cases a car, if the car can haul it, and you could go. You take off with your family. Let's say they have riots in your area, and your job just burnt to the ground, and you don't know what you're going to do, but you just so happen to have this. Well, let's say you are homeless after, January. If you have this already, you have a home. Literally. You and your family have home. You might not be able to rent anymore, but, you downsize and you go and you have a home. It's an option for a lot of people for multiple reasons that are coming up in the future, and these are my suggestions. You can complain that you're in a cold environment, but you know what? It's better than being on the street. It'll take a lot to fuel it up. Well, there are actually ways around it, but it's better than being out on the street. And you can't rely on government assistance like you used to these days if you think you go to welfare or any of that, because the government doesn't have the money anymore, and they're losing it. This is your opportunity and your one chance to get something like that. And get out if you need to, or use it. At least keep it as a backup. Hook it to a van, hook it to a truck. If you got a beefy enough car, hook it to that. Okay? And those are probably the best ideas for you. And they're not as expensive as a full-on RV. And you can find them used. All right? You can I've seen some used for $600, anywhere from $1,200 to $600, all around. You can find them different places. The tow behind trailers, camping trailers. Trust me, it's a good idea. It's a good investment for everybody right now. Unless, of course, you have another option like a boat or something like that, or you have the airplane and you have a way of going somewhere, like a second home out in the woods. All right? You're worried about the second wave of corona. You have time to take off. You don't have a house, so you want to bring that, or you have a second place out in the woods. You just want to get away from everybody, out somewhere really rural, like some cabin somewhere, and you need to get there quick and back and forth. Well, that's a place to actually bring a plane, but or bring a camper for a second. It's just an extra bug out, get out way of, even if it's only temporary. Okay? Next thing you have is your regular cars. Well, I'm going to suggest everybody look for bikes or Jeeps. All right? Vans and trucks. I wouldn't suggest you get in your fancy car, because yeah, it's nice to have, and if you don't care, fine. But if you're thinking in the case that I am, a motorcycle would be a really good option. You could put it on a boat. You could attach it to your RV. It's or to your trailer or whatnot. Okay, you could put it in the back of your truck. But yeah, as an emergency, get around low on gas, quick way to hook a sidecar to, and just put some groceries in. That's an excellent idea. You can put it on your boat. I suggest pedal bikes for a boat, but if you have a big enough boat, you can put a motorcycle on a boat. That's my suggestion to you guys. These are things I would look into, because think about it. Do you really want to go, oh, I got a bug out bag. I could go into the woods. I got my tent here, especially if it's in the middle of winter and it's cold. No, that's a last ditch option when you don't have any other option. You want to be able to go, I got a truck and a trailer, and I can go to my sister's house or my cousin's house in South Carolina, and they don't have any issues there, or over into Texas, or if you're in New York and New York's fine, or wherever you are, take the trailer. You got the camping trailer. Now you don't even have to worry about, can you put me up? I just need to park my trailer here. If you could let me do that, I got a place to sleep. I bring my wife and my kids, whatever you have, and you're not even really imposing too much. You're just borrowing some of their land and maybe at the most using their bathroom. A lot less imposing on your family as well. Think about it that way. Same thing with a boat. Boat has all the things the RV does, or at least most boats do, and to an extent, or the camper, whatever way you want to put it. These are things that would be very good for you people to have. They're bug out situations if you're thinking about prepping. Depending on how far in the world you want to go. You want to just be able to go down South America, or way up in Canada, or over to Alaska. An ultralight or a light support will get you there. Ultralight barely, if you know what you're doing and you do stop and starts with that. Light support should be able to take you anywhere within the continental United States within reason, depending on the vehicle. Might have to stop and land somewhere a couple of times, but you should be able to do it. Down into South America, something like that. A boat, around the world if you have the right one. 30 feet on up. You sail around the world if you want. I mean, the best thing about this is if everything goes bad, yeah, they've closed down a lot with Corona, but what if you decide to just cross the Atlantic? It's going to take you a long time anyways. Slide on by. Just keep going. Find a port that's open to you. Refill, whatever you have to do. Just the bare necessities, and keep on going. Enjoy life a little bit. If you can stop somewhere, stop somewhere. Maybe a hidden island somewhere. It'd be very nice. Not too many people. Now, as far as the coronavirus goes with people that are on liveaboards, you do realize, and this is for the governments, I don't understand it. Down in the Caribbean, you're cutting off a good supply of people that could actually be potential payers. Okay, they have money, they come there, they want to spend money in your country. Here's the thing about this. You're worried about coronavirus unless you're talking about a big boat with hundreds of people on it, like one of those ocean cruises. If you're talking about a small yacht or sailboat or whatever you want to call it, with maybe a couple of people, most a catamaran with 8 people on it, 8 to 10 people that have literally quarantined themselves for weeks before they got there, because chances are, since the last destination at least took them 2 weeks to get to wherever you are, depending on where they actually stopped at. they shouldn't even need to be quarantined because they quarantine themselves on the journey. But fine, even if you quarantine them while they're there, it's one of those things where it's like, if I wish governments would use their heads there, because you realize people on sailboat cruisers, liveaboards, they're going to bring money into the community, and chances of them bringing something in are slim to none because they've already quarantined themselves for a very long time by sailing across the ocean. I guess governments don't have brains. Mine, yours, anybody. It would be a thing that I think would actually be intelligent for them to let bypass, because it would bring in currency and money, which would help out their country, which would bring up some spending, and it would actually open up the cruising lifestyle. And it would also be people actually quarantining themselves on the journey. I mean, come on. If you people are out there and you actually want to talk to these countries, go, do you realize we quarantine ourselves during the sail there? An airplane, I can understand. It takes a few hours flying in, maybe a day or two, and somebody might have had something, and the coronavirus stays for 2 weeks. But if it takes you a month to get there, you've quarantined yourself for 30 days, 28 to 30 days, to get from California to Hawaii even, which is still in the continental United States. It takes, on average, the fastest I've seen somebody sail from there to California to there is 20 days. Okay, almost a month. The last one I watched took those guys, and they were on a 30-footer. It took them 26, 27 days, almost 28 days they were thinking. And they got there, I think, a day or two early. They quarantined themselves for a month. Come on. And that was just from Hawaii to there. Then Hawaii to the next place, another 3-4 weeks, and on, even if you're island hopping. But anyways, my opinions and my thoughts from Sailing Prepper, sailboat, great idea for a bug out situation. Get you out of an area. Most people probably won't be using sailboats. If you fly, have a small ultralight or light support, not too many people are going to be doing that. And you could take it from your own house. If you have your own little, if you're a farmer and you just build yourself your own little airport way for an ultralight, come on, you spend more on a couple of tractors. This will be worth it. If worst comes to worst, buy a cheap, camping trailer that you can hook on the back of a truck or a van. And some cars, you're obviously not going to hook it to a racing car or an expensive muscle car or any of those things, or a tiny little blue car, or blue, I don't know why I threw that in, but I do, but still. Something small, but if you got a beefy enough car, like one I do know would have hauled it, people that used to take care of me had years ago, was a Delta 88. Muscular. It could haul a whole trailer behind itself. People did haul them with that, actually. But it was a Delta 88 4-seater. Now it would be considered a gas guzzler, but it was a heavy-duty car. A Jeep, something around those lines. These things will haul that. And if you have those types of vehicle, or you plan on getting one, even a cheap one, and get a cheap trailer, like I said, for, about $1,200, you could pick up one. I see them all the time. You gotta be careful of what you're buying, because you don't want something that's junk. But, you could find a decent one that needs maybe a little bit of maintenance and still usable. Register it, throw it on the road, get it ready, take it, go. You You're ready to go. You have it. And it's extra storage space. Let's say you want to put some canned goods in there for emergency supplies. Put some extra bedding in there that you would use on the road. But, you make some room in your house in the process. Very useful. Very good idea for people to have. That way, when you want to get going, you can get going. And guess what? It has a shower. It has a stove. Most of them have microwaves, sinks, and a way to hook up to just any old outdoor faucet. Turn it and go. It's my opinion. Sailing Prepper signing out. Enjoy.